BEEX project is a no-profit foundation about visual art and photography. If you want to help us, just drop a donation on buymeacoffee.com/BerlinExplorer. Welcome to this new episode of 50 Minutes of Experience. Today I'm with Willie Schumann from Hamburg. Welcome to this podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's really nice to have you today. I discovered your lomography and I was attracted from so many pictures you uploaded there. I mean, you have a quite big archive of 44,000 pictures. So I think there is a lot to talk about. And before that, as I ask to everyone, I would like to know more about you, who you are, what you do, what is your main job, and so on.
Yeah, perfect. So my name is Willie Schumann. I live in Hamburg, but originally I'm from Berlin, actually East Berlin. And I think that also, that's quite important for me too, because there are a few differences, I think, depending on the region where you're from and what, development you have made in the past. And so I'm a filmmaker and a TV journalist and a photographer. And as you mentioned, the lomography and all the pictures, that's like a giant passion of mine to shoot on film and to go places and to capture what I see. And I'm lucky enough with my job that I go a lot of different places, awkward places, exotic places sometimes, and it's really interesting also to have this bridge between digital and analog. It's quite fascinating and emotionally has completely different aspects if I shoot digitally or on film, but I think we will get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a topic that is always in contrast. I mean, most of the time I talk about that. I talk about analog. I hear some things that I'm not really agree with, but I mean, let's see, because I can be really provocative sometimes.
Nice.
So I have a question for you. Why you have all of this big amount of picture? First of all,
yeah, it seems a lot, but and it is a lot, but I think it in a way makes also sense. I mean, if you compare it to digital pictures, people that have, mount a lot of digital pictures on the iPhone, I just had to set up my computer and I figured out how many thousands of pictures I have on my iPhone. So, it is not that awkward. And, I started with lomography and film photography in the beginning of the millennia. So a lot of these pictures amounted to a long time. And, it has to do with processes, I guess. I tried a lot of cameras over the time. I've decided for some specific ones that I like very much. And what I realized also with film photography, as I use a lot of expired films, a lot of old films, it's not that reliable either. So if you are in a very interesting place and you just rely on one camera, on the sujet you are shooting, you might be unlucky and nothing turns out afterwards. So that's why I tend to do more pictures with different cameras on the same subject. Also, the cameras are very different that I use for quite some time. I use panoramic cameras. Yeah. And that's a completely different storytelling to medium format or, a 35 millimeter small format. So you tell different stories with different formats, with different pictures. And also, I guess, there is this, there is an element of comfort taking pictures and analog pictures. So for some it's yoga, for some it's, I don't know, meditation, for some.
I've heard stuff really crazy about what is the impression of other people, the perception of photography. I mean, in general, not only in analog.
Yeah, I mean, originally, or just in general, I would say I'm a storyteller. And that comes to every traits of life. If I can write stories, I can take photographs, I can film them and edit them. So it's a way to express myself. And then just with time, so much, so many pictures mounted to it. But there is a change. I mean, if you really look closely, especially on the lomography account of mine, in the past years, I didn't have that much time for film photography, actually. I had kind of my work shifted a little bit. I had more responsibility on my own. A few years back, I always had a cameraman with me when I went on film assignments like TV. And now, since 3 years, most of the projects I do solely alone. And so I do the filming, the directing. And so it seems I have much more responsibility for that part of my job. And then I have less time for film photography because that's a different kind of thing. So actually there are less in the past years, but still they are massive. It's still a lot. I agree.
I mean, I've seen that you also wrote a lot of article on lomography notes also. I mean, the notes, unfortunately, I have to say that the picture link are broken, so then I can just read the text, but I cannot watch the pictures. But yeah, I think this is a matter of time and server and so on. But in the meantime, I have seen also that you have a lot of articles and a lot of stories. Yeah, for sure, you have a big amount of picture, a big amount of different moment, different stories, and especially if you shoot every day or almost, it's impossible to don't have such an amazing experience also of what you see and how do you see that also after years after developing the film. But I wanted to ask you also, do you prefer to shoot more or to watch than what you developed?
Okay. Which process I like more?
Yeah,
To see the result or doing it? That's a very good question. I think for people that shoot on film, there are a lot of processes involved. You have to get the films, you have to take them somewhere, you have to carry them physically, you take these pictures, then you take them back, then you develop them, then you scan them, then you work on them, and then you upload them. So there are a lot of processes involved compared to people that just shoot digitally. I think each one of these processes are very interesting. Every single one of them. I think one doesn't go without the other, honestly. I'm just thinking of Vivian Maya, and you know her, and that she shot a lot of roles and didn't develop them due to lack of funds or interest. Then I know people, my good friend Stuve, he's a marine biologist and now lives in the US. And he was really into developing film themselves. He wasn't even so interested in shooting them anymore. So they're interesting, different people. I would say probably the shooting part is the more exciting one because you are in a scene, you are out there, you're in a story. And there is, after you've done that, there's this big question mark, did it turn out the way you wanted? And did it turn out at all? And there is an element of hope and positive emotion involved. This is, rejuvenated when you get the results back, if it works out. But actually, if it doesn't work out, I'm rarely disappointed. I don't know. It's not that I'm. It's like bumming me out that this one film, sucked because it's too old. So I would say shooting is the most important part.
Yeah, I mean, it's, because for example, in my case, is uh, I don't know. I don't really pay attention then to developing. I have to say, in base of what is the true. No, I would say, yeah, as a curator, yeah, for sure, I really care to watch picture by picture to understand also how to use this picture. But as a photographer, I most of the time when I shoot, I think shooting for me is not really photography. Photography start to be real when I have to watch at these pictures and I have to translate them to understand better how I can use them, how I can write a story if there is a story, or if I have to write some kind of emotion. And I have to say that, yeah, in analog, most of the time I just collect films. Sometimes it happened that I collected 100 films without developing them for years. And then I developed them, and yeah, for sure it's nice to watch them, blah blah. But yeah, I mean, in the end, it passed, for example, the last time 10 years. So then I have to say that in the true, not I don't really care then to the part of developing, for sure, after years, there is the curiosity of what you saved or not. But yeah, in the case I used to shoot some film. I have, for example, here 10 film 110. This one really old from. I think these are from Rossmann of 10 years ago, no? And happened that lately I developed one of them. I paid also a lot of money to develop, and I went there. I took the film, and there was nothing inside, and I felt first a bit sad because yeah, sometimes that when you go to upload or to develop the films, you don't really know what is inside. I mean, sometimes you forget some frames that you shoot, no? And so in this way I felt like fuck, another memory lost. In another way, yeah, I feel like fuck, I spent the money without getting in the end anything. You go there, you are excited, you go 2 times in the studio and then there is nothing, and you feel like okay, a bit like cheated also, say like I don't know, you go at a shop and happen that for example, I'm happy that if you go at DM, for example, and you develop a film and there's nothing inside, they don't let you pay a lot of money. But this doesn't happen at if you go in a professional developer, no? They take, well, how much is it? 10 euro, they get 10 euro. Now there's nothing inside, it's your fucking problem.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a really good aspect of film photography. I talk with people that had their beginnings in film photography as a professional photographer, then they switched to digital because of the market and so on. And I heard quite a few times that they are missing this emotional depth of joy and disappointment that comes also with the delay of receiving your results. For them right now is, you take a picture, you look at it, you change the adjustments. So there's no emotion involved. It's all practical. It's all like, we just have to get the results. And a lot of them are missing that. There's also a thing which is really curious. I had a few discussions with, actually at the Photokina. I had a discussion at the Photokina with like a leading guy from like an association of professional photographers and so on and so on. And it was all about what's analog, if it's really analog, if we shoot on film, but we digitalize it afterwards. And there was this whole discussion of, are you true? But what I realized in this discussion was there is an element of a few digital photographers, especially the ones that had done film photography before, that they that I think there is an element that they think they are cheating now because they are digital, because there's not that delay, there's not that question of material, and because there is this element of maybe we don't put that much effort into the photography than the film photographers. We have to fight against film photographers, which is ridiculous because, you know, everybody should do what they want to do. But, you know, there's even that emotional element from digital photographers towards film photographers sometimes. So, so all the emotions you just described, it's just an element of how many emotions are involved with film photography.
I mean, it's the same. What I explained to you, it's the same in digital photography. Yeah, there happen also that I put down some picture and I totally forget, and then I discover after years. I mean, I'm a over productive artist, so I mean, what you see in Berlin Explorers is I do it by myself, and so then I do it also my job as art director, then as photographer and so on, and. These produce every day a big amount of files. So happen that yeah, sometimes I do test shooting and then I forget totally to now. For example, it's coming to my mind that I have to develop some pictures I did for a guy months ago and I totally forgot. But I understand what you talk about because and if you will listen other podcasts, you will also listen about this topic. Many times, analog photographer come up with these things that they choose to doing analog because they have time to think about. They can think about what they shoot, and I always say, okay, but why you cannot think when you do it digital? I mean, no one is there with the gun is saying you have to shoot now. I mean, it's totally illogical, you know, and and this is as photography, as poetry, and so on. I mean, every kind of tool I used in my life, there were moments where I wanted to overcome and so then overproduct, and moment that I wanted to wait. And yeah, I remember I was working on a long outdoor project, and yeah, happened also that I was shooting 1,000 shoots between digital and film one day, and the day after zero. I mean, I was working, and no funding. What I was in the feeling to do it. So then it's and not because you have a digital, you say okay, no, shoot, and then we see what happens. No, it's I mean, this is also a technique. Can be a technique. I tried many different way to figure out what is the philosophy in photography, and that's why I came up at the point that for me photography is not the moment when we shoot, but the moment then we select, because the selection is a second confirm of what we have seen, and it's kind of clarification of what we are looking for. So it's in a way or another unconsciously a structure we have in our brain that we cannot really control because it's formed from influences, subcultures, cultures, and the state of mind in that moment. So I think this is the real then photography because it's much more related to the light. The light we can embrace inside of ourselves. I mean, to shoot a picture, especially today, everyone can do it. But also before, I mean, when there was only film photography, there was not only photographer, they were taking picture, but a lot of families. Otherwise, Kodak would not be millionaire at that time, no? And the point was this: that when they created the point and shoot camera, the point was to get accessible to everyone this tool to yeah. In any case, use especially in the research. There is no, I think, yeah. Photography born in the moment, born in the moment of the same born of the sociology for that reason. I mean, called born much before because they were already experiment and already technique from the Middle Age. Yeah, there is a reason why the production started at that time. So
very good. Yeah.
I think yes, it's a really controversial the ignorance there is behind some sentences people write, and I think it's ignorant and also I feel there is no way to be wider and open to see what is the true, and the true is always in the middle. So then, no matter if you shoot in analog or you shoot in digital, it's matter how do you use the tools, because no matter if you have a gun, if you are a thief or a policeman, if you shoot the head of someone, in any case, you're a piece of shit.
But that's very interesting because so there was a moment for me where I like, especially like for my, let's put it this, like on my artistic work field, I had the feeling I should decide either it's film or is it digital, because what I realized just in life in general, but especially also in photography, you learn with every exposure. What film have you used, what light have you used, where are you at, and so on and so on, what kind of aperture, and you can only hold one camera at a time. So you have to make a decision for that. And
you have two hands. You can handle also two. Yeah.
Sure. But if you do it, if you want to do it with a certain amount of dignity and seriousness, and I found for myself, well, then I decide for film, and with all the obstacles that are in the way on if it comes to creative photography, and it felt really good. I like to take these certain decisions, and I can stick to these decisions, and I embrace the consequences of it, and then it becomes a safe space. I'm not doubting these decisions. I feel comfort in having made this decision, and that's also why I mounted to so many analog pictures. While maybe other people, do it all at the same time, and have a similar amount of digital pictures.
Yeah, for sure. It's up to everyone to decide what they want to do. I mean, for me, photography is photography. I mean, now you do it film, you do it aluminum, you do it digital, you do it what else you fucking want to do it. For me, it's the same. I mean, I'm looking at the entire piece of work, not if you did that or that other. I mean, also this is a nice talk to better understand what we did and what we choose, and to also reveal some kind of decision. But I think it's really subjective, that because I mean, depends where you come from, what work you do, if you can permit yourself to buy some film, if you are lucky. I mean, also if you're lucky, because I remember many times from eBay and Zagen, I got in touch with some old people, and they gave to me for free, the film. I was buying totally something else. They saw my profile and they say, yeah, I've seen that you are a photographer. I have 20 film. I don't know if they work. I send to you. Amazing. But it can be that you don't find any film expired, for example, or the cost of the film is going higher and higher, actually. And I don't know the reason why. I mean, many people also talk about some kind of stopping production also because of the COVID. In some countries that where people cannot work for real, so then it's going higher the price. But it's film photography in a way we can say today the best is that you can buy a camera really cheaper. I mean, there are some cameras that was costing million before, and then now you can find for €2 sometimes, or for free, and then this is already a cost put it away. Then there is the cost of the film. Then we can see that developing today it's really cheap. I mean, I found also a place where to develop a film for 50 cents. I mean, you can find everything, and you can develop also at your place in most easy way. I mean, there are a lot of tools today to doing that with cheap costs. So it's really, I think, an excuse to say it's about the money because I'm, for example, I think, yeah, I'm not really settled to buy a lot of film, but the amount of 20 film, 30 film per month I buy. Then I put there, I don't use, I collect, it's okay. But and I don't consider myself an analog photographer, for example. I'm much more in digital because I work much more in digital. But yeah, it's there are many excuses, and that's why I don't really like to touch then this topic anymore. Because I heard a lot of excuses, I heard a lot of bullshit about yeah, that's like you have more time to think when you can think in any way. I mean, there's a lot of bullshit in this world, and a lot of technical things that are really not are useless for me, and I will never talk about that. I prefer to talk about like this question I'm asking to you now. That what do you do with this picture? I mean, what is the use of them? I mean, it's okay. Now we have seen that from lomography that you do it some things, but I won't know. And then yeah, you doing a practical picture at all, totally in 100%, and then you show yourself in a digital. I wanted to know now if you show yourself also in analog way.
Mm. So you asked me on my professional side, where do you use digital? Where do you use analog?
No, what do you do with your picture? This is the point. I mean,
Okay, okay,
do you do exhibition books?
yeah,
You go away in the street?
okay, okay. Well, first of all, on the digital side, I have more and more assignments where I shoot basically reportage or advertising, where they also request photography. And it makes complete sense, especially if you're abroad, if you have an assignment abroad, to combine the both. So I do that. So there's an element of that on the professional side. For the film photography side, there is a lot of, I think there are a few aspects. I thought about that when you were talking in the beginning. Lomography is a showcase place. I tell stories there. I also understand it's also kind of an image carrier. It kind of makes me even more interesting for people that book me for commercial assignment for making a film. It's kind of so there is an element of that. I wouldn't deny that. There's this element of it's just something I have to do, and it kind of deals with the prospect what I can do in the future with that. I've a lot of my pictures have been shown in books of lomography, and I write these articles on lomography. I had this one book I made entirely with a Zardina, which is a camera from lomography, and they basically gave me an assignment to say, Willie, you can do a trip. That's the money, and we will do a book out of it, and it's gonna come out together with a special edition of the El Sardina, the ZA, and there was another one, like a metal version of the El Sardina.
Yeah.
And so people that purchased this camera got the book that I entirely wrote and did the pictures of. There are a few places, a few topics that I will be doing books about in the future. I don't have the time at the moment, honestly, with all the TV and film stuff I'm doing. But
Yeah.
for instance, the one really big thing that's really on the agenda is my visit to Mars. I don't know if you have read the article about it. What I did 2.5 years ago was I went on a Mars simulation in Utah, and basically I acted as an astronaut who's taking photographs and film. And I was with a crew of another 5 astronauts.
Yeah.
So it was a complete created world that we pretended to be on Mars. And I knew from the beginning with the photography I'm doing on film, it's gonna be a touch and feel of, let's say, Cosmos of the Soviet Union meets Space Odyssey 2001. And this is gonna be definitely a book. And I'm gonna work with my brother who is designing books. And probably my father will be involved as well in doing the lecturing and a lot, because he has a publishing company as well.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be, I think, the first really big book that I will do outside of lomography.
Yeah.
And I think the, exhibitions, they always go alongside. It's no problem to do these exhibitions, but I've really limited time, like with the work I'm doing. So I have to make the decision: do I put much effort on the film photography? Do I do more effort on TV production and documentary and advertising world? So I'm always in a cage of too little time. And so, but I have big hopes on the Mars book. And then it will be fantastic to do, alongside to the release of the book, to have exhibitions all around the world, because it's quite an international topic. It's touching a lot of people, how I realized when I put the pictures out there. And and that's the good thing about it, concerning the little time I have, it's really timeless. And that's really an aspect on the photography I'm doing with film. They could have been done 20 years ago. They could have been done 20 years in the future. They could have been done today. The look is a word of its own. It's not a contemporary look, put it this way. It's not.
I mean, you have to be careful of the trend of the moment.
True. I mean, that's a good point. You're absolutely right in concerning what's catchy right now. Whatever that might be a completely different thing, but it's really unrelated to how I look at the things. But I think because it's done on film, and these films are actually sometimes 20 years old, 30 years old. And the look it creates reminds us of a world that it's much older. So there is no timestamp on the photography because of the grain and the color scheme and so on and so on.
Yeah, it's for sure a look can be from every century of photography, every part of the years. But for sure, what we see in the picture, it's much more related to our, And this is clear. I mean, this is the part. I mean, the most difficult part to avoid in photography. It's that some things then can be then researched and proved. I mean, you have to be really good experimental picture to avoid that things. I don't know if you know, for example, photographer like Daisuke Yokota, that they work a lot with analog, but in experimental way, they totally put off the question time inside of the picture. Because they are working a lot on the structure of the generation of the acid composition. But it's really curious to see how you will figure out that book. I mean, as a book designer and curator, it's my passion that, and I'm curious. And I think always. I mean, I started this project exactly because I think that there is a really big amount of pictures in the world, and instead of other artists or photographers that they think is just a mass of things, I think they are precious element for most productive way to think the art. And I mean, I think I always say also recently in some podcasts that I think in a way or another we are the tenure of a kind of heritage that probably we will not have in the future, because we will have to see what then will be saved from explosion of a server, and also will be a moment where the web will go to the 5.0, and we will have a reset, and we will be saved from what you showed or not, you know. So, and yeah, one another, we also are what we hit, and in this case, what we watch is also forming our reality and true. So in a way or another, we are influenced from that. I mean, I'm for sure now, every time I watch on the web pictures without reading the name, I recognize so fast who did the picture, because I spend time, hours with the photographer talking on podcast. And yeah, maybe sometimes 30 minutes recorded, and I spend 2 hours talking there, watching a picture the whole time.
I completely agree also on the fact that you said there were a lot of digital pictures just vanish, and people save them on CDs or on DVDs, and maybe we cannot read them. And I think there will be generation of adults that don't have pictures of them as children. Well, other generations have still a box of photographs, how they looked as a child.
I
And
don't have, for example, I don't have any picture
oh,
from
wow.
when I
See,
was 2 until 20.
oh, wow, that's very interesting. And there is a childish joy for me to see the negatives and to see the positives, to see a picture made on plastic foil. There is it's literally magic, honestly. I mean, there is an element of a magic with it, and it's so fascinating because there are new generations of people that discover analog photography, especially in Asia and so on, and they are confronted with film photography for the first time. They see it and they freak out. There is a photograph on a physical sheet of plastic, and they rediscover that analog photography for them as it was for so many generations before. So you don't have to. And I'm not a cynic in this element. If you I like to consider things like this as magic. It's really
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, sure. I mean, now I was thinking also about what you said before, that you cannot handle two cameras in the end. And I started to think about Nobuyoshi Araki, that he was going out with the 5, 7, 10 cameras, shooting what else? Film, digital, phone, video, and happened now in these last years that I go out. Every time I go to shoot out, I go with at least, if I don't go to shoot, I have 2 cameras with me in the pocket. If I go to shoot, I have 7 cameras, and I use all 7 cameras.
Wow.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
I have this change. I don't know why, but I have from 11 o'clock until 3, I shoot with the Nikon. From 3 to 5, 7, I shoot with Canon, and then I shoot with the Minox, and I have this time lapse of things in my mind. But because it is everything about sensibilities, ISO, color, black and white, and the way to use the light, and that's why
Absolutely.
I think it's in a way really easy to actually collect things. And then, as you said in the beginning, I realized that I have a million of picture made with the iPhone from the iPhone 4 until now, that I have the XS million, and then I started to work on a big book, and that going from the year 2006 until now. And it's just but in base I have no data about that, because I lost hard disk file, Then I did the recovery, and all the recovery just gave to me the file in base of the name of the device shooted, but without the data, without any information. So I will try to keep just a chronology, but in base of what I think it was here.
Ah, interesting.
Because how also we have perception of what we produce. Sometimes we think, maybe this I did last year, but probably you did 20 years ago, or maybe you did yesterday.
I have a question for you. I want to ask your opinion about one thing. If it comes to social media, for instance, right? You know, I think there's an interesting perception of people out there, even your friends, on the things we post. I think there's even for a lot of people, because there's so many people that post random pictures that they didn't do, and they just put a capture on it. That I think a lot of people don't even realize that you and me and other people made these pictures that we post ourselves. That's point one. Then, and I'm always, and it don't matter for me. I mean, I have to put it out there. It's just the chronology of my life. And sometimes I'm proud of certain pictures. Sometimes it's just, something I saw. But I find it fascinating that the most reactions I get is with pictures of me. And I put really little of them out there, maybe once half a year, or like, I don't know, every 3 months. And I just recently had one, my most successful social media post was just a few weeks ago, because I went into the new Matrix film. And I did, at the time, in the beginning of my TV career, I did interviews with Keanu Reeves and the other actors on Matrix for the release of Matrix 2 and 3. So, it's really funny. It's actually the first album I uploaded on Lomography. And I had to ask the guys in Vienna to give me the files because I couldn't access them. So I uploaded them and I had like 260 likes. So it don't matter. I find it fascinating and confusing at the same time that, maybe, like, in my opinion, I put out a picture that is great, as brilliant in many aspects, and it was complicated maybe to make and on film and so on. And I would never have the amount of interest on it than with a picture of me doing an interview with somebody. In this particular case, the Matrix interviews and so on.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, what's your opinion on that, on the perception of pictures you post in social media?
I think,
and your experience on it.
I mean, my experience as also marketer, my opinion is the best things you can do it is to don't show your work, but to show yourself. People relate with people, not what you see. I mean, and they will never, even if they are the best friends, even if it's your partner, understand what you was feeling in the moment you catch the picture, because you don't understand it. I mean, at the point, after years of research, I understood that no one understands what is shooting for real. I mean, there are many perspectives. And I remember exactly, and I don't know, I did this the last year, so then I do it again, because this is the one of, maybe this is episode 7 in season 3. I tell you this story that I had this guy, I mean, now he's a friend of mine, so then he listened to the podcast. Unfortunately, he doesn't speak really good English, so then he cannot really understand. But we met one day, and then he was just an alum of mine, and I had to do the portfolio review for him. And he came across to me with the 500 picture printed, and there was a lot of picture of this seal, just a seal, no? And was kind of, no, I don't know, someone came to me with every frame of a video, okay? And I said to him, okay, just select a picture. And then we went on for hours because he was, no, I cannot select, it's too hard, blah, 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 blah. And after these hours, we came to 10 picture. I put the picture on the table. There was the same fucking seal in every picture. The movement of the head, a bit on the side, and so on. I put it then the picture on the table and I said, okay, what do you see? And he said, I see depression, I see loneliness, all this feeling, okay? And I was in silence. I really didn't know if I had to laugh or, and he was at me and said, okay, but yeah, but why you are in silence? What do you feel? What do you see? I said to him, I see just a fucking seal. I understand completely. That's something I said to him after that. I understand completely the feeling you have, but I'm reacting as a psychologist and not as a photographer now, not as a spectator. And why it's more easy to engage other people, especially in social media, using your picture. This is a statistics that most followed in the world are people who post picture of themselves. It's because you relate to a human. So then this human, in a way or another, you can watch, you can relate in a way like, yes, it's like you, in a way it's like you. And also, when you read some description that probably doesn't fit at all with picture, you can figure out that person in a kind of fantasies. So I think this is the real storytelling. The real storytelling is to let believe the other people the bullshit you say about yourself, or the truth also, because in the end, also the truth will come the bullshit of the moment. and this relates to people that in a way or another think or they believe that they know you, or you let them think that they know you. It's it's really crass. I don't know the translation of crass now in this moment, but it's really cruel in a way, but it's what the other people more feel easy to understand. In a general vision, for sure, if we talk about curator, but yeah, this is why no one, most of the people, they don't know that there exists curator of photography in the world, or editor. I asked us in Berlin, happened to me that people asked to me, okay, what is an editor in photography?
I think the common thread for all people that are in one way or another active on social media is belonging. And their version of what they want to show to belong. Some, I guess, create a world that a lot of influencers create a world that is a show world that they think people like, and they, I think, most likely are successful, but maybe it's not reality. Others tell what they honestly feel. It's interesting. It's an interesting mix of things. I think the most important thing for every individual is to have a relationship to feel comfortable in what they do on social media. I think it's really probably a nightmare if you are in a cage of something you want to display and you're driven just to create that all the time. Probably this is like hellish. Yeah, it's interesting. And I think also our relationship to social media is absolutely fluid. I think how we looked at it 10 years ago and now and in between and all the time, it's changing all the time.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
But we are active because we want to belong. We want to be part of community.
I think, yeah, the point is it's always the same, and that's in a way I say to you, I don't follow a lot of people post them picture of themselves. Maybe no one, probably. But Because I mean, it's my passion is to create photography, so then I am much more interested in watching the work of others. But I really love to encounter people to doing this podcast and to watch them. I really love, and I really love to go outside and engage with other people. I really love to spend and to meet people during my time, and it's totally another feeling to watch a person. I mean, now imagine that we were just without video, and we are not watching ourselves, and it's totally another feeling. It's totally another dimension. And this is the point. I think I can totally understand the feeling that people want to engage with other people. And for sure, there is a big amount of profile on Instagram, on Facebook, and so on, just because it's trendy, or it's because everyone. It's normal. Today is normal. Before 10 years ago was trendy. That you feel yourself not abnormal in a way to don't have a kind of social media, to don't have WhatsApp. I mean, in Germany, it's difficult to find people they have a profile on social network. I think it's the influence of DDR, but yeah, it's normality. And then we came up at this point that people earn money with that. And then a lot of people won't earn money with that because they think there is no work behind. But I spent the most of my life planning and organizing and writing down on the agenda, on the calendar, and so on, to make a really not a big amount of things in social media. I mean, it's a really fucking shitty work, and take the whole time of yourself, and you have to stay always up to date. You have always to check. I mean, fortunately, I'm not a person that goes there and check how many followers you have, how many likes. I don't give a fuck if there are 3 like or 20,000 like. I mean, doesn't matter for me. Sometimes I act most of the time with the same messages. I created a lot of shortcuts just to answer to people really rapidly. But there is a lot of work behind, and that's the point. So I think the use I do it of social media is the same that you do it of your Instagram. It's just uploading yourself there, and if someone watch, good. If someone doesn't watch, fuck yourself. Easy, and using as a messenger to keep up with some people that probably you don't have the number, and then you have just there. That's it. We are totally out of the real social media, probably in that way.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's absolutely okay. And I started really late. I think I don't know when I started with Instagram, maybe 10 years ago, because I was on Lomography, and I thought, and that's so funny because Lomography was around as a web page to upload pictures before Flickr even.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. As much as they are analog, they're very digital. It's fascinating that they realized that really early, this need of connecting with people. And this community of lomography, honestly, it's very rewarding, very interesting people. They have changed over time, but I can honestly say some of my best friends are lomographers around the world. And because this world of getting films, developing them, taking pictures, different cameras, it's a specific world nowadays, and it's great to exchange with these people who mostly have really interesting jobs also and very creative. There is I think to be a lomographer is rather a mindset also, doesn't depend really on the camera you're using and the films. It's really like an approach to the world. And it's from the beginning, it was great to meet those people, especially on my travels. And you are connected, you have the same topics to talk about because it's super nerdy, honestly, if I post this on Facebook, if I post this podcast now on Facebook, it's nerdism, it's really very specific. A lot of people don't think about what we think about, and it's absolutely okay. It's it's really a niche. And so especially the connection to the people that are in this niche, it's very strong. It's very intense.
Yeah, it's really nice. I have to say, lomography, it's a really nice community. I had not chance to work with lomography. I tried to exchange some email, but with no really good results, because it's really, I think, difficult to get the right person from the other part of the computer. But it's really nice. I met a lot of people there, and I have to say that I when I research people for podcasts for insert in my project, I'm active on many different websites. So then Flickr, for example, has no sense anymore. I mean, there is more porn on Flickr than photographer. And I have to say, I used it for years when it's 20 years ago. It was amazing. I loved a lot Flickr. I also used the lomography with another account. And MySpace was I think, the beginning of really sharing your work. And MySpace for me was amazing because was really collecting everything: music, art in general, visual art, communication, everything. And I think from there I came up to lomography and so on. But for my, as I was saying, for my podcast, for meeting people, yeah, for sure, I prefer to use lomography, Instagram, in some ways, and some other website that no one knows that they collect photographer. So really a niche community of maximum 1,000 people, but it's really interesting. And the point is also to connect. And I tell you what I think about the photography nowadays is in everything. And I mean, when I relate to people, it doesn't matter if we share photography. This podcast is not a podcast as treat about photography. It's called 50 minutes of experience, because we can talk also about, I don't know, the last shit you did in your bathroom. I mean, doesn't matter for me. It's to relate to the person. And it can be also related to photography, because photography is the tools that to connect ourselves to another world or to our world.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's expression in a way. But I had to set up my computer. I had to downgrade. Complicated story, but in doing that, I had to basically save all my data and so on and so on. And I accidentally, and that always happens in this process, I accidentally deleted a lot of albums that I have scanned, but I haven't worked on, because there's still some dust on it and so on. And they came from all regions of the world, and it's interesting, they laid there still because they were not that attractive compared to other stuff I uploaded. Also, sometimes I had to do more work with it, like more dust removal and stuff like that. And so there's a reason why I didn't work on them. And then I deleted them accidentally. I right away went back to my archive and found some of the albums and scanned them again. But I used this moment to make a clear cut on the photographs that I deleted and said, they are still there in physical form as a negative, but I didn't find them right away, or I didn't want to scan them again. And I thought, that's probably good, because
always that.
Yeah, like to have a clean cut on that, even if it's by accident. But it, of course, made me think of, this is really, it's for, I think it's a topic for you probably too, or for a lot of people. What's the value, emotional or in general, of that particular photograph you have taken in time? And that's a really complicated question, because it's very individual, because
answer to you, for me, for my side.
Yeah, because on the one hand, you have taken it, you put time into it, maybe you develop it and so on and so on, but maybe it's not a good photograph.
I have to say that I just say this experience of mine. Especially after the death of my mother, I felt that the materials has no value. And why? I mean, I was living here in Berlin. I had to go back in Italy. I mean, when she was going to die, she died. And then I found myself in a place where I didn't want to live, in a house full of things. And imagine now my mother died 3 years ago, and there is still things, even if my father is removing slowly everything. And I say to you, my mother collected for 56 years of her life the socks she used. They were socks really probably from the 80s there. And I asked to myself, no, what the fuck you doing with the socks? What is the value of every fucking socks you use? What is the value of every things you collected? Every paper, every recipe, everything. No sense, no? I mean, for her, maybe there was a value of that. But I think in the end, and this is what and why I love to be a curator, because to be a good curator, you have always to make balance in your life. You have to understand what has value before and what has value after. And you have to settle like you have a bag and you cannot put. I mean, when the bag is full, it's full. Now you want to put some things inside, you have to take something you have to throw away. So I don't want to talk about minimalism because it's not minimalism, but to have a balance in your life and to understand, okay, what you can let it go. And so I started to doing like this in the past with a lot of picture. I had print, film, and so on. I was just giving away, just writing an announce, and yeah, if someone want to be the owner of it, take it. And then you give this value to yourself, that you give something to someone that care about. Now this person go out from my house, throw in the trash. I don't know that, so it's everything okay. And then the last experience I had was this losing 8 terabyte of hard disk of the entire archive from 2008 until now. Yeah, I have to say, the first 10 days I was totally in depression. I was not sleeping. I was in front of computer trying to recover the file. I was totally fucking upset. It was really difficult. I was crying also of things, I was totally out. But then slowly, now that I recovered a lot of file, I felt even like, what the fuck I had on this hard disk? I mean, why I was reserving this picture? Why I was reserving these files? Because yeah, came up stuff like picture I made in the clubs when I was working in the clubs as a photographer of people totally, yeah, people that you don't know, pictures so fucking shitty made. Stuff that you say, okay, but in the end, I was collecting shit. So then, yeah, I think it's really important that if especially you want to work or not to work with photography, I mean, if you want to do it that, if you want to work in general with collecting materials or a digital file, to always think about, okay, this is my space, and I cannot over put stuff in the space. So otherwise, everything go down. And say, okay, I have film from 20 years ago that probably I can just watch, save, just cutting really the film itself, and save the frame you want. Because yeah, there is sometimes you have an entire film is an all shitty picture, has no sense. And yeah, I mean, you can search on internet. I mean, there are a lot of curators like me that they collect a picture, they create the books or other things. I mean, this is the reason why I'm doing this publication. Actually, the collection, like Make It Red and so on. because I think always about okay, we have a lot of these pictures. We don't know what we have in our hard disk, and the point is, it's not better to use them than to let them there. And this, I mean, this is another fact, because then there's a lot of people who say to me, "Ah, but you have to pay me for my work." Yeah, man, no one give a shit about this fucking picture 20 years ago. No one give a shit now, and you want to get paid. You have to see if I sell the book. You know, I mean, this is my philosophy for sure. If I call you and I say, "Hey, Willie, I want you do it a work, you do it for a book," yeah, for sure I have to pay you because I'm commissioning you a work. But if I say to you, "Hey, Willie, I'm doing now, for example, make it green, make it yellow. You have some yellow picture come up to your mind from your archive, you would like to donate." Yes, not ciao. Easy. You have time to search. You know, this is the point. So I think it's for sure it's subjective, but it's not then really subjective, because the balance, I think, is a thing that everyone deserve. I mean, in a way or another, everyone of us has a kind of balance. And
Yeah, and it's especially, I think it's especially a problem of our time, because you can consume so much. There's so much content online. There is so much to buy. There was a time where you couldn't consume as much as you can now. Consumption is unleashed, put it this way. You can get whatever you want to, whenever you want to. And that's really a problem for the human condition, I would say. We are overwhelmed with all this data, with all this information, and I absolutely agree you have to keep it as a balance, just to feel human still.
Yeah, totally. I think it's. I mean, what I'm talking about, you can read in every religious book made in every era. It's there. The research of balance is a form of humanity. I mean, I don't think all humanity. I mean, in general, every animal also has a balance. And if you eat too much, then yeah, for sure you shit too much, and you feel bad. And then this is the point. I mean, if you over use drugs, that there is a probability that you can die, and I mean, you can also survive, but then probably you will die really hard when you when you get old. And there's a balance in everything, and I think it's important to have a balance in also understanding what has value for you or not. And even if every picture has a value for you, to select them in a way to then use them to give a value, a real value. Because otherwise, if you just keep on your archive or your hard disk, I mean, it has no sense. You are not respecting what you did.
Emiliano, I have 10 more minutes. Then I have to.
I mean, it's we are over than our
exactly.
time. I mean, fortunately, I renominated the podcast for the season 3, 50 plus minutes of experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, now we had already 5 podcasts. So no, it was nice to meet you, and I hope to make another episode with you in the future.
Sure.
Doing some stuff together. When you are in Berlin, give a call. And the link are in description to watch at your work. I mean, if people have time to watch all the pages I have watched of picture. But it's really nice. I want to go to read better the article, because I read them really the best way.
Yeah, I would be happy about it. Yeah, that's an interesting project on nomography, where I basically have a column there called "The World According to Herr Willi," which is basically my nickname for also for Instagram. And it's always about a special place like Mars, Chernobyl, North Korea, places I've been that are very special. And it's also for me always great to condense that into like an article. It's really fascinating. And it was fun talking to you. You think about other things when you take a step back from your work, and it's more a philosophical approach to it. And call me anytime, and then we do another one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you a lot for your time.
Thank you too.
Thank you for listening to this podcast, and if you want to learn more about us, you can visit the link allmylinks.com, Berlin Explorer, or our website beexproject.com. And if you want to follow us, you can always get news from Instagram on our account BEEX Project. Thank you again, and see you in the next episode.